Fernanda, let's dive straight in. So you're a professional ultra runner and you're used to covering these incredible distances. Just how far is that? What distance qualifies as ultra?
Ultra is more than a marathon. So marathon distance is 42 kilometers. And so usually the ultras is more than 50. But the ultras that I do, it's around the world circuit that I do is a 100 kilometers race, 120 and 100 miles. So this is the most important distance for me in the world tour. So usually I compete the Ultra Trail World Tour and also the Sky Running World Championship that happen 2 years by 2 years.
That's incredible. How does someone even get started running these amazing distances? Like, do you just start out as someone who goes out for their daily 10K and you just keep on adding the kilometers until one day you're like, oh, I'm at 200, you know? How did you even start getting into that?
Yeah, I start because I hate to catch the bus. So I need to go to my school and I was like, fuck, I need to wait to the bus and take so long. And for me, it was easier and fast if I was going running and come back running to my house. So I started running because as a transport. Also, I was doing capoeira, and then I was running to go to the capoeira class and running back home. So I started running as a transport. And then, as you said, adding some kilometers. So I started to do 5 kilometers on the road, competing on the road, running on the road, and then 10 kilometers race, then half marathon on the road. And then from half marathon on the road, I discovered in New Zealand. I was living in New Zealand for 10 months. And then in New Zealand, I did my first half marathon and marathon on the mountain. So I fall in love because I love so much nature. I was also an environmental lawyer at that time. And I said, it's perfect because I love nature. I can run. And you have races that you can run on the nature and running. So then in 2008, I did my first ultra. That was in San Francisco in California, the Endurance Challenge Championship. So that was my first ultra, 50 miles. That is 80 kilometers. So that was in 2008, my first ultra. So it was slowly. So maybe it was in 10 years, I was just adding this kilometer until to be an ultra runner. And I've been an ultra runner for 10 years right now. So it's 10 years running long distance. So I do some short distance also as a training, because my focus and my performance is always in longer distance race. So as I told you, my best distance is 100 kilometers and 100 miles. But also I do some 30 kilometers and marathon distance as a training, because it's important to keep the speed, and also these short races, just to training how you are in the races, and against competitors that they are faster than you. And then when you go for ultra, you are more comfortable to do long distance. I think it's a good mix. I like both, but I really love the ultra.
I mean, as you say, you've done so many epic things. I mean, you've got these incredible world rankings at the Ultra Trail World Tour, multiple podiums at, Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc. But obviously for me, the achievement that grabs my attention the most is your run up and down Aconcagua, obviously, because I climbed it, I did it the normal way, and you ran it. And not only that, you set the all-time women's speed record, right, for running up and down it in 22 hours and 52 minutes. So firstly, congratulations. It's incredible. Just for context, for anyone who might be listening, Aconcagua is the highest mountain in the Southern Hemisphere, just under 7,000 meters. It's the second highest of the 7 summits after Mount Everest. You face sub-zero temperatures, extreme wind, thin air, very steep slopes. And for most people, including myself, it takes around 3 weeks to summit. You did it in just under a day. So to start with, why did you even pick Aconcagua at all? What made you choose that particular challenge?
Well, I'm Brazilian, and in Brazil we don't have a high mountain. And I thought, wow, I've been here so many years about Aconcagua because I have many friends in Brazil. They try to climb Aconcagua, and as you know, just climbing 3 weeks is super hard. So all my friends, they went to Aconcagua to try to do the summit, and they couldn't. So since I was young, I was like, wow, what's that mountain? Why this mountain is so hard? And then after this many years running, and I thought, wow, if I need to run one high mountain, maybe it can be a Concagua. And I know that is super hard because like my friends, they couldn't walk there. But maybe with my experience, maybe I can give a try, you know. And then like I discovered that many runners, they couldn't run up there, like Luis Alberto Hernando is a world champion, Nuria Dominguez, she's a world champion, and they couldn't. And also like was Luis Alberto Hernando, he motivated myself, like, Fernanda, you are Brazilian, this is the highest mountain in your continent, in the American continent, you should try. And then I did that like without any experience in high mountain, just in Mont Blanc. And I've done so many 4,000 meters high mountains in the Alps, but it's different, you know, from 4,000 to 7,000 is a big gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an amazing experience. As you know, I got it in my third attempt. So I fell in the first one. I was completely out. I was sick already before. So I was coughing so much until Berlin is 6,000 meters high. I stopped. The second time also in 2016, I stopped in Berlin to 6,000 meters. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is look like my limit, you know. Then I discovered that I need to learn to run a little bit slower just for my body to adapt to the high altitude. Then my body was keeping some energy to be pushing to the summit, because it's a long way from the entrance of the park from Orcones. It's 2,000 meters to 7,000 meters. It's super long, and it's around 80 kilometers. So it's like a long way, and also high.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how did you like plan the route for it? Because, you know, obviously you did try it twice before. Did you have to walk the route first in order to be familiar with where you were going?
First, I did the summit in 5 days. So I did the summit in 5 days just to see how it's the way.
Yeah.
And also to know like what time I need to start to be there, because in the high mountain, especially in Aconcagua, you can reach the top until 4 p.m. Otherwise, like after 4 p.m., the wind is super hard. Like it's already hard, you know, but after 4 p.m. the weather change, so the wind is getting harder. So I can like be like in trouble if I pass like 4 p.m. So I need to calculate the time that I need to start to be there before this time. And also I did the record from the base camp first. So I did in 5 days the summit just to know the way, the track. And then after I did the record from the base camp, was super bad weather, like snow until my knee, but I could manage to do a good time from base camp, from Mulas to the top, to the summit and back. And then I had the bad luck that during my ascent, my ascension on the summit, I had so much snow, so much bad weather, and also avalanche, rock avalanche, and mud avalanche. So that was hard for me. So I had to wait some days after to try again. So I lost some acclimatization, but at least I knew so well the way, like the track, that I did everything. So I start 11 p.m. So doing like all that way during the night alone is kind of tricky, you know, because as you know, is no trail is marked. During the day, you can try to find it, but during the night is impossible. And the glaciers make rivers during the night that you cannot see. So during the night, I need to cross 10 rivers. Usually during the day, it's just 2 rivers, but during the night it's 10. So that was very stressful to run during the night until to arrive in Plaza de Mulas, the base camp. And then after the base camp was daylight, that is tricky because it's very cold. So the coldest time in the mountain is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So that detail I need also to know, because I couldn't be so high in this time. Otherwise I can frozen, you know, because I cannot run with so much clothes. I was just with a thin jacket running, but I couldn't be if it is a low temperature when I'm in high. So each detail I had to calculate, and I was learning between like my trainings there.
Yeah, you touch on a few interesting things there, but you're right. The weather on Aconcagua is so volatile. Obviously, that's one of the main reasons why people don't summit. Like when I went, I had to stay at base camp for a really long time because there was a storm around the summit and the wind was just way too strong to even try it. So I was sitting at base camp, you know, at Mulas for like 6 days. So you mentioned obviously the acclimatization. That's obviously super intriguing for me because when I go up a mountain, I have to spend a really long time acclimatizing. So, you know, how do you acclimatize? Do you do it all before you start?
Yes, so where I was living is 500 meters. So in the Pyrenees, I was living just beside the river, so it's very low. But I think with my experience, like running high mountain, like every day running, like in 2,000 meters mountain, so that gave to me like already like a little base after to be more comfortable until 3,000, 4,000, I can feel comfortable. But after this high altitude for me, it's still like very hard. So what I did is, as I told you, like I did the summit in 5 days. So I spent 3 days in Valecitos. It's just a valley behind Aconcagua. So I spent 3 days in Vallecito, like sleeping in 5,000, 4,000. Then I get inside the Aconcagua parking. And then I was trying to go slowly because if I run all the way, I don't acclimatize very well. So sometimes it's good to go slowly, just walking and running very slowly, just for your body to get this adaptation, no, in high altitude. But I think it's I can get this fast because I've been 10 years running mountains. So I think it's like your body has like a memory about this effort that you have been doing high altitude, and I think it's just because that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and as you know, it's like just 10% of the people that they go to Aconcagua they can climb. So huge congratulations for you because it's super hard. And yes, I think the people they don't realize. I have so many friends. They are super fit and super good runners. They go there and they cannot do the summit because it's super hard, and you have the atmospheric pressure that's super high, and also the wind there is very complicated. So I think it's a very strange mountain that look like easy because it's not so technical, but in the same way the weather changed so much that is hard.
It is hard, yeah. I mean, I really struggled with the altitude. I was with Brazilian friends of mine, and they taught me a phrase because I said it so much. Minha cabeça dói.
Yeah.
Or every single day. Sofia, how are you? Minha cabeça dói, which my head hurts from the altitude. Like, so obviously, because you said this is a very serious high altitude peak. Does your training change to, you know, reflect that? Did you train any differently?
Yes, it was when I got in Aconcagua, I was training carrying 10 kilos in my backpack, going up to 6,000 meters high and came down, just to have more confidence in my legs because you lose oxygen, you know, like you have a less lack of oxygen. So, and when you don't have oxygen in your brain, you lose your balance.
Yeah.
So for me, this kind of training, I did it 3 days, this training going very, very heavy to 6,000 meters high, and then came down very heavy, carrying food and also rocks, just to make sure that I was strong and confident with my balance in the mountain. And with this training, after I felt flying when I was going down, and was so much easier for me to be running in this high altitude. So I think this training for me was very important.
I mean, obviously, because as you get higher, the air thins, which makes it, you know, difficult to move faster. So how do you pace yourself throughout this? Because, I mean, I'm not an ultra runner, so I don't really know how you do it. You must drop your pace significantly as you approach the summit. Do you kind of just end up walking towards the end, or?
Yeah, it was hard. Like, especially like during the training, for example, I could run until 6,000 meters during the training, but during the day of the record, I was calculating to be able to run maximum until 4,000 because I need to keep my energy after to be walking up. And going down, I can run all the way down, but going up is very important to be control this speed, just because your organism need to be full of energy. You know, like your organism need to be prepared for any kind of problems in high altitude. So because you need to survive, you know, like when you talk about high altitude, you don't want to get altitude sickness. So this is why it's super important to have this energy in your body. And also because it's so cold, and then you need also energy in your body to keep your body warm.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's, you cannot like, during the training, you can calculate your speed around, but it's completely different of running, you know? Like you're running, you can run 15 kilometers per hour. In high mountains, like oof, you can do 1 kilometer, you know, in 1 hour is crazy. So it's better to not like thinking about calculate speed. I think it's better to be worried about your body and your energy.
Yeah, you keep saying this, which makes me very jealous that coming down was much easier for you. I found coming down was a lot harder than I thought because I kept slipping on the scree when I tried to run down on the scree. How do you balance on that? I mean, you just must be really used to it by now, right? From all the running you do in the mountains.
Well, for me, when you come down, you get more oxygen, so it's easier, you know?
Yeah.
But for sure, first steps coming down is very dangerous. So it's very important to be alert because it's the downhill that is the most dangerous part. So for me, I'm very good in downhill. I'm very bad in uphill, but well, comparing of some runners, but I'm good in both for sure. But downhill, I have this facility because I'm a technical runner. So for me, it's okay. And I think because I did this training that I told you, like carrying so much weight during the downhill, after I got this confidence, you know, to go down very fast.
Right. Yeah. So it's all about, is it, so the key to sort of going downhill well is to develop balance. Good, strong legs and balance in your legs.
Yeah, you need to have proprioception, you know, so training a lot of proprioception at home. I think in high mountain, if you are doing high mountain, is the basin. You need to have proprioception, your ankle, because all your power is in your feet, you know, is in your feet and your core, is your abdominal and also your ankle that give to you this confidence to go down. And this is very important. Because it's the downhill that you cannot sleep at all, otherwise you can die, you know, like it's so high and there's so thin tracks that is very important to keep this. And I think this is the key for high mountains.
I wonder as well about the logistics of this, because you mentioned that you were wearing this really light jacket. Again, for me, going from the start of, you know, the gates of Aconcagua National Park, it's so hot, and then you get up there, and by the time I reach the summit, I'm in a summit suit. So for you, how did you change your clothing along the way? Did you carry it with you in a bag as you were going up to the summit?
Yes, I carried another jacket in my backpack. But I got like more water in Nido de Condores. So it was in 5,500. So I have there my boots, my climbing boots. It was like a normal boots because until 5,000 I was with running shoes. So I was running shoes and a thin jacket. And then after 5,500, I put my big jacket and also the boots and crampons. So I just added that for the summit. And coming down, I take out the jacket, the crampons, I put again my running shoes to come down. So it was one change. I could carry my jacket and I kept there like my crampons and boots. So that was the easy logistic.
So yeah, in terms of things like, you know, like clothing, food and water, obviously when you plan a record, a lot of planning goes into it. So I assume you have kind of people helping you out. So when you stop at places like, you know, Plaza de Mulas, so all your pit stops, you have all the necessary provisions there. You have food and water provided for you along the way. Yeah,
I couldn't eat, so but for sure the tea, a hot tea was good, you know, to have because it's important to drink a lot. But like pushing is still, I don't know how can you eat in high altitude because the pace is slowly, but you cannot eat because all your blood or the air, the oxygen is for your head and for your heart.
Yeah.
So the stomach for sure is not working. So you cannot put food in your body because otherwise it's not digest. So it's a big problem because it's high altitude. But with my experience running so many hours, it's okay to not have food for so long.
What about water? Because for my summit push, I drank maybe because I just, you just drink what you can carry. So I only got to carry like a 500 milliliter water bottle, and that was it for the day. How much do you think you drank on during this whole day?
I was carrying 2 liters.
Okay.
Yeah, I was backpacking. I'm a soft flask, just warming the jacket was covering my backpack, a thin backpack. So the water and a hot tea was inside me, and one in the pocket, one behind. So it was kind of 2 liters, I remember.
And what was the most challenging part for you?
Well, for sure was the avalanche. Well, so much avalanche going on. So that was super scary during the night, especially you are alone and you don't know what's going on, and you are in the middle of the valley. You cannot run for all the place, when you see the avalanche coming, just run faster. And so that is, high mountains is normal to have so much avalanche. So, but that's still scary.
Would you say, this is something that someone actually asked me about mountaineering, is it more mental or physical?
Oof, I think both, no?
Equal.
Wow. I think for the body is a huge effort, and you get sick so many times. I think for the body is super crazy, and for the mental also, because it's so much challenge, the nature, you have so hard winds, and you think that you are not able, that you die, you cannot flying away. So, and also this kind of bad terrain, avalanche, and you need to cross rivers. You cannot get a cold feet, otherwise you get frozen toes, and I think it's very complicated for the body and for the mind. But I still think for the body is super, super hard.
When it does get tough mentally, I'm interested in that moment, because I think I read somewhere, it may have been on your website or it may have been somewhere else, that you had a quite difficult 3-4 hours, or it was a certain period where you had likened it to being almost like drunk, stumbling because it was so difficult. When you go through that, what goes on in your mind? What do you tell yourself at that stage to get through?
Yeah, all the time I knew that what I was trying was kind of impossible, because I've seen so many girls trying and very good runners, they couldn't. I also I tried twice and I couldn't. So for me it was so huge challenge. So, but I was believing myself, in my body. But as I told you, you have this very cold mountain, very cold moment, hours in the mountain, that your body doesn't have so much energy to keep you warm. So I felt that a lot when I was in 6,000 meters high. I couldn't open my eyes. I was so much so down, no energy at all. And it's strange because it's not about tiredness. I wasn't tired. I was just no energy. It's kind of strange feelings. It's kind of altitude sickness, but kind of drunk and dizzy. But after I was well, I don't want to stop, because I still no headache, I'm not vomiting, so I don't have altitude sickness, this sinus, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's from the cold. So I keep pushing for more 1 hour, but I remember it was so hard. I couldn't open my eyes, and I was sometimes open, okay, I'm in the track, and then the guide come. I had one guy, he was behind me, and he said, "Oh, Fernanda, just keep trying, and what you are doing super hard. You have been running already for 10 hours, you are almost in the summit." And I said, "Yeah, let's see." And then after, it was crazy. The sunshine just came. When the sun came, I was oh, that was my body came back with full of energy, so I could open my eyes again and could focus on the trail and keep my pushing hard, my speed to the summit. So I think it was more this kind of low energy in the body from the cold. for me, that was the hardest part, because I was thinking, oh my, again, I mean, 6,000 meters high, and maybe I need to stop again. I don't believe, and for sure, I respect my body. I don't want to push hard to lose my life or to be like sick. So I was always seeing this limit, and learning about this experience, about the limit of my body. But this time, for once, some seconds, I thought, oh, probably we stop again. But yes, I keep pushing, and that happened. Yeah, it is strange, eh?
Wow, yeah, it is. I mean, for me, the cold was really, really difficult as well. I felt the cold so much, and I had a period of 3 hours as well in the early hours of the morning when it was really dark, where I started to feel really sick, and but I know you didn't feel sick, but I also felt the same, low energy. But when the sun started to rise, oh, thank God the sun is rising. And after that, I was fine. Did you let yourself, when you got to the summit, how long did you spend there? I'm sure you had a victorious 15 minutes at least, like, yeah, I've done it. Well, done half of it.
When I arrived at the summit, I want to come down fast because it was cold, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that the summit is just halfway. For sure, I was like, oh my God, it's so unbelievable. I was like, I want to cry. I was like, oh my gosh, I did for me, that was impossible, and I did that.
Yeah.
But then I said, like, okay, now the downhill, I know that the downhill I can arrive to the entrance park again, but I went to do like a good time. And I had the mountain guide, he was there and taking pictures, and he was like calling the radio, telling everybody that I was reaching the summit, and I was like, come on, let's go down. And he was like super slowly talking with people. And I was like, oh my God, can you come with me, please? And then we lost 10 minutes on the summit, and for me, it could be just 30 seconds, But for me, it was worth it to have these 10 minutes there, like just blessed to be there. It was amazing weather when I was in the summit. It was a blue sky, just like that feeling that, oh my gosh, this is beautiful mountain. It's a beautiful summit. And then, so I think I spent like around 10 minutes, yeah. But for me, 10 seconds was enough. Because it's crazy when you are doing a record, you are like, oh, I wanted to like the summit, for sure, I don't, and especially like training also, some summits I go, I breathe and I pray, I'm like super blessed to be there, but in the same time, I want to leave fast, because I know that it's halfway. It's not like the finish of all your journey.
I realized that tenfold as well. I mean, I know I didn't have a record. I had nowhere to be in particular, but I remember getting to the summit and thinking, oh, no, it's not over now. I have to go back down. I always forget when I get there. I'm like, it's only halfway because you got to come back down again. What was the first thing, you did to celebrate, or what did you eat?
Well, when I finished, was like one guy came. So when I finished alone, but then it was the photographer outside of the park. So I came to him. So he took the pictures, he filmed, and then they had a pizza in the car. So I was like completely happy to eat a pizza. And and also when I was doing the record in the base camp, when I was coming down in the base camp, I saw some people, they were like eating pizza and Coca-Cola, and you'd like a bit? And I said, oh yes, for sure. Because I started feeling myself again healthy. And then I said, okay, now I can eat a piece of a pizza. And I stopped there for 2 minutes. I have the pizza, and it was like, wow, the best pricing. Like when you are in conditions to eat something is the best, like you can have as a very good price.
It's great when you come back down and your appetite starts coming back and you start feeling normal again. Okay, so Fernanda, I could do this all day, but I am conscious for time. So kind of just to start wrapping up, obviously the world situation right now is incredibly uncertain, but I have to ask if there is anything, you're planning for next. What's next on either your competition schedule or any future challenges? Do you have anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, I still hope for Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc. It's a big race that happened here in Chamonix. So this is the end of August, so it's still cross fingers that will happen. Mm-hmm. And also I have a project in Kyrgyzstan, in a high mountain there. So maybe if everything is go well, I can go to Kyrgyzstan also So this is two big goals that I have for this season, and maybe they change the date, but I'll keep it training and focus on these two big goals.
Yeah, that's great. And I also did want to add, because I know that you're really passionate about, social issues. Obviously, you have a background in environmental law, and I believe you worked for an NGO as well. What was it that you were trying to shine a light on with Aconcagua in particular?
The Aconcagua was learning about how is the recycling system inside a big park as Aconcagua. So it's crazy, and like they leave like 30,000 kilos of rubbish on the Plaza de Mulas and up base camp and up to the base camp. So like usually they use the helicopter to get out all this rubbish, and also like the expedition company, they have some part of responsibility to bring our rubbish that from the food and everything. So that is good also. And the park in Aconcagua, they were like doing an amazing job. But the problem was like they were trying to recycle and pick up all this rubbish. But then when they were like bring it to Mendonça, that is the city close to Aconcagua Park. So in Mendonça, they didn't have a good rubbish recycling system happening there. So when the rubbish all recycled was arriving in the city, they were like losing all the work, because in Mendonça they didn't had this recycling system very well. So the council, they were like trying, like all the department, they were like trying to fix that again. And so maybe I hope now they are doing better, has been like 4 years that I didn't come back there. So I hope now they are getting better with the rubbish.
Yeah, I hope so too. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew obviously that there's a very strong effort by the national park to keep things clean. You got the orange bags and all that kind of stuff. I didn't realize that when they take it back to Mendoza, they don't really have the infrastructure to deal with it. So I'm going to look into that because I'm curious now. But thank you so much for talking to me today. I really look forward to seeing what you do next. So stay safe and stay well, especially right now, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. I hope you have a big goal also in High Mountain, and congratulations for all your climbs.